Spring may finally be gracing my neck of the woods, although I thought the same about a week ago, and then we got another foot of snow. That has since melted off or been cleared away, and today we are going to take a look at the newest acquisition, a 1968 Plymouth Belvedere. Now I know the typical car guy thing to do when you have 7 other projects that are unfinished is to buy another one. Well, this one was a pretty good deal. I believe it to be a pretty good deal anyway. I've always had a soft spot for specifically 1968 Mopar B-bodies, pretty much 1968 anything. I think in terms of overall design, the automotive industry kind of peaked 1968, 1969. I paid a cool $1,500 for this car, and I paid full price so that he would deliver it, because at the time, this was all ice. My truck is only a bumper pull at the minute. I didn't want to try to get 3 different parties together and something lined up to get it in the yard. Now you'll notice the body is in really good shape. Besides, some grandpa dents and whatever. Those don't bug me. Rot and really wavy bodywork is what bugs me. In terms of rot, we have a little bit starting on the rear quarter here, which I think I'll just treat that and it'll be good for a few years yet. And then on the driver's side, eaten away, maybe a little bit more depending on how you look at it. I need to get back behind the quarters and see what's actually going on. The real pitfall of this car is, no floorboards. I can never seem to have floorboards around here. Structurally, the car is near perfect. Frame rails in the back, and they're like new. Yeah, it's just a sheet metal on the floor that's gone. And yeah, that's not ideal because I believe this is a unibody construction, but it is what it is. I can actually get pans for this one because everything's the same as a Roadrunner and they make parts for it. So that's probably what I'll end up doing, even though shipping those parts up here is going to hurt quite a lot. While we're here, we'll take a quick look through the interior. The dash, with the exception of the radio, is really complete. I have the ashtray and the box of shit in the trunk. I really like the black interior with the light blue exterior. I have both front door panels. They're also in the trunk. I think he was putting glass in it. The seat is, put a seat cover on it. It'll be good enough for a while yet. Back here, about the same deal. If anybody actually sat on this thing, it would probably explode, but it's good enough for now. Floor pans fared just a little bit better back here, but not a whole lot. But you can look through all the door jambs and everything. Like, besides the floor pans, this is a really, really nice car. The headliner, I believe, yeah, it's there. It's a little moldy, but I think that should clean up. All of the glass, with the exception of the windshield, is in really good shape. I heard when this car was drug out of the woods originally, it was out around Delta area, there was a lot of glass missing, so I think somebody went through a lot of effort to source and replace most of this. And on the topic of somebody going through a lot of effort, shocks are new. It looks like brakes have been gone through, wheel bearings. It has like brand new tires on it. The mounting receipt was still in the car. So a lot of that piddly little shit has already been done, and that was already done because this, but a couple weeks ago was a running and driving car. It had been floating around the local marketplace for a while, and I believe it had a 400. It was either a 400 or 383 sitting in here. And I think it was listed for like $4,500, which, running and driving, not terrible. It does not have a title. You got to bond that, so I don't think it was worth the $4,500, but I didn't buy it with the motor and transmission, clearly. That's not to say I opted out of it, but I'll tell you that whole story in a second. While we're here, let's just take a look at the engine bay. I was able to actually go through and wipe most of this down because, you have some access here. And I don't know, there's just something about a clean engine bay that really makes me happy. It has 4-wheel drum brakes, and they actually work really well. So that's one thing checked off the list. I painted the cross member up, really shittily, but it's black now instead of rust. And that has to be one of the most solid battery trays I've ever found in a B-body. So, the car has a lot going for it. Okay, so the story of how I came to own this. It was for sale for, I don't know, like 2 years or so. The guy would add it and then take the listing off, take the price down, put the price back up. I don't really know what was going on there. I thought about purchasing it a couple times, but it always seemed, the guy seemed a little sketchy. So somebody ended up buying it finally. He started to, embark on the trip to drive the car home because it did run and drive. Well, I think he said like 10 miles into the trip home, and the motor cowabunged. I'm not exactly sure what all happened. He isn't either yet. He's going to tear it apart, rebuild it, and put it in his Challenger. But yeah, that always sucks when you buy a new vehicle and on the way home, it's, it goes nuclear. So he ended up listing the car for sale then, minus motor and transmission, because he always intended to put that in another car. Not that he hated four doors. I know there'll be a couple of you being like, why are you putting any effort into this? Well, it's a good looking car. But no, he just wanted a big block to put in this other rig he has going. And I understand that. If this was a good power plant, it would have been an okay deal once you get the money back out of the car. I initially shot him a trade offer of the Power Wagon and Studebaker plus cash or whatever he was interested in, and he was kind of interested, but he was also going to be moving in a couple months, so I get why he didn't jump on those. I finally, after much internal turmoil, because I just have a hard time spending money, I sent him a message saying I would give him full price if he was able to deliver it, and he was really nice about it. He brought it out. We had to unload it on the road, though. It was so icy. So you got to come up the road. There's a cul-de-sac up there, turn around, come back down, and then back in the driveway. That's the easiest way to do it anyway. It was so icy, he would come back down the road, and he couldn't come back into the driveway. So we unloaded it by the neighbor's driveway right there, and it was sketchy only because this whole thing is a blind curve. Like all three driveways we have on the property here are on a blind curve. It makes it really fun. Yeah, but we just let it off the trailer. He was in here steering and working the brakes. We had a four-wheeler chain to it in case it locked up and started to just slide down the road. Four-wheeler might have acted as a little bit of an anchor. Luckily, all went well. Nobody even died, and here it sits. Ever since I owned my 1973 Plymouth Satellite four-door Custom, the green one that I have a couple videos up of, but I'll put a clip in here. That was my first foray into the muscle car world, even though a lot of people will tell you it's not a real muscle car because of the number of doors, except the whole platform's the fucking same as the two-door. So, whatever. It was an old B-body Mopar, and I really liked the car, but I always wanted to find one of the earlier generation Belvedere satellites, whatever, with a little bit boxier body style like this. I always thought that something like this would make the perfect road trip car, and god damn, they just look good. This front end, it's perfect. And I don't know, yeah, when you stand just right looking down the front of the car, you can see the hips on this thing. It is a Roadrunner with an extra set of doors cut into it and a different roof line. So I really like it. I always get shit for this from friend groups and everybody online. I prefer four-door models of certain cars. I don't know, I'm a big guy. Just cleaning up in the back seat. You get something out of the woods, you got to detail the interior. In a two-door, I can't fucking get back here, and if I do, I destroy everything. In something like this, you open the goddamn door and you step in. It's just so much easier. That sticker gotta go away, though. The one major issue cosmetically is the trunk lid, clearly. I believe this is off of a cornet or something. I don't know why the end of it is chopped off. But, yeah, I'm going to try to find another lid and paint match it to this, silver blue. Hopefully I can source something locally to avoid the astronomical shipping on something like that. But you can see in here, I said it had four-wheel drums. There's everything in here to convert the front to discs. So whenever the current system starts to wear out, it will be getting discs. But in the meantime, I'm not going to mess with a good thing. From almost every angle, this car just looks good. You might be wondering what motor and transmission I'm going to be putting in it. I've told you before about that really low mile 360 and 727 I have. It remains tucked away in the back of the carport for safekeeping. I believe that, unless a big block falls into my lap, is going to be what is put in the Belvedere. And yeah, I know that sounds like blasphemy, but you know, big block parts are expensive, and just the blocks and transmissions up here, a lot of people have a chokehold on things like that, and they're like double what it would cost to source something in the lower 48. I have absolutely no issue with having a small block. The 318 in the Charger did great for a long time. 68 Charger has that same 318 in it now. This has a 318 in it. I mean, they're just good engines. So that is the general goal. We'll put the 360 in here, button up the few little things it needs to go down the road, and hopefully get it done by, you know, August or so in time for Chatanika Lodge Car Show. This is one I don't really want to rush. I want to do somewhat correct because it's a good enough car. I think it deserves that. I'm putting the goalposts way out there on this one just because my yard's going to go to absolute mud here like in a couple days. I'm not going to be able to move a cherry picker around, and I don't want to be rolling around under the fucking car in the mud. So I'm going to give it a while, let everything dry up, firm up again, and then get around to it. But you know how that goes. You hold off on something and you get involved in 8 other different projects. So we'll see. I just want this running by, you know, next winter. So there you have the Belvedere. I guess I'll give you some updates on some of the other stuff. This thing is still held together by ratchet straps. Hopefully I'll get around to doing, well, at least mounting the body on the frame this summer. We'll see. I have no idea how to move forward with that because I am not a welder or fabricator. So, we'll see. The convertible in here now runs off of that little jerry can on the front through an electric pump. The problem is the electric pump is just pushing way too much pressure through the carburetor and it keeps flooding it out. So you gotta turn it on, fill the bowl, it'll run, it'll start to bog down, turn it on again, fill the bowl, yada yada. I don't know why they bypassed the mechanical pump. I need to look into that when it's on the ground. So I have all 4 tires off right now, and I have been trying like hell to source brake parts for a long-ass time now. And I didn't want to do the whole disc brake conversion because that costs a lot of money, and the 4-wheel drums, they worked well enough back in the day, but I'm realizing that finding parts and getting them up here is kind of an issue. So, as you can see, the front's all torn apart, and I have, I think, everything but a few pieces missing from a hardware kit that was supposed to be a complete kit here to put the fronts back together. And then I gotta figure out what's going on with the back here. These drums won't come off, like, at all. I'm gonna end up destroying them, and I gotta just hope I can find reasonably priced replacements for something like that. But I gotta get this down on the ground rolling again for when the time comes to get this in the Belvedere. So it's one of those things where you kind of get in your own way. But it runs pretty good. It holds water, has oil pressure. It goes into reverse and drive just fine. So I think once the brakes work, it should be able to move around the yard. I worked on the interior a little bit. I don't know what all I showed you and what I didn't. I really didn't film anything this winter. It's just an Amazon Mexican blanket on there because the seat's kind of a little fucking gross. And it's just like a moving blanket in place of carpet to cover up the sound deadening. Nothing is done right, but it'll preserve it a little bit for the next guy. That being said, I still hope to drive it out to Toke just because of the goddamn bumper sticker. But pretty much right after that, this thing is going to be listed for sale. Primarily because it's a convertible and it's been taking up my carport because with the roof up, it's the same amount of water is going to get in here as right now. And I really don't like things sitting under tarps. That's how you get all of the moisture in there, and that will get a lot worse. So I just don't have the means to put a top on it, and I don't have the means for it to always be taking up my carport. So I want to drive it and then send it on down the road to somebody who can take it the rest of the way to being like a nice car. If you think that somebody may be you, hit me up. Just remember, I'm all the way up in Alaska. I had grand ambitions to get the Belvedere and or convertible ready for cruising with Santa come Memorial Day. That's not going to happen realistically, but what might happen realistically is getting the Torino painted, because as of last winter when I parked it, nothing was like mechanically so wrong I couldn't drive it. Things tend to go a little fucky when they sit over winter, so we'll see when we wake it back up. But I've always wanted to do the Starsky and Hutch paint job. I'm finally going to do it. The car looks okay from like 50 feet going 50 miles an hour down the highway, but this original paint is chipping really bad. Like every door jamb, every panel gap, it's just gone and it's starting to rust. So to preserve the car, because it's in pretty good shape, I want to do some very minimal body work and paint it just to reseal everything. I already started taking the trim off of where the vinyl top is here. This is going to be a pain in the ass to pull up because the glue is still really good. You can see here on the flat charger all of the trim I've already taken off the car. Most of it is still reusable. A couple of them got bent up a little bit. It is what it is. None of it was in great shape anyway. But yeah, I'll probably start here soon. You know, as soon as temperatures stay above 50 degrees or so. I'll start with the door jambs and trunk and everything, get that done. Hopefully by then, I can have the convertible rolling again, get that out of the carport, roll this into the carport, get the vinyl top off, give everything a scuff and shoot, and then boom, it's ready for the car show. This thing needs a clutch. It runs pretty good, and you can drive it if you start it in gear. I don't know if I really want to mess with it. I just picked it up as, you know, an in case of emergency break glass situation. If the truck I was driving this winter decided to crap out, I thought I could throw this together quick enough to not be inconvenienced all that much. But knock on wood, so far I haven't needed that. So this will probably get sold off here sometime soon, just because it takes up a lot of room in the yard, and I'm kind of running out of room in the yard. The Travelall needs a cowl repair because it's leaking into the interior, and I had to take some carpet out last fall. Don't want that to get any worse. A lot of this is just, you know, plugging holes in a rotting ship situation, just trying to stay afloat. But I don't want any of these to deteriorate while I own them, so it's just a lot of busy work. I got to get that taken care of. I got to put carpet back in the front of this. And if I remember right, last time I drove it, I was hearing a little bit of a lifter tick. So I got to figure out what that was, and hopefully nothing is, you know, too horrible. And apparently it needs tires because everything in the yard needs tires. I used to be able to get them really cheap off of Amazon, and you used to be able to get anything you needed. You know, they had a wide variety, and with Prime free shipping. Now, everything I've looked up, they either don't have it or won't send it up here. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's very inconvenient. I tried to mess with the Studebaker a little bit last winter. We had tried to get it running. It turned over, and it had spark. It tried to pop a couple times. We thought that the starter might have been just too tired to wing it over fast enough. In a last-ditch attempt to not need to send that starter out to get rebuilt because there's nowhere in town that does that anymore, I figured I'd take the plugs out, oil the cylinders, try to bump up what compression's left and see if it'll light off, get up to temp, reseat rings, and have compression again. Well, I did all that, and then I went to turn the motor over, and it didn't turn over anymore. So I thought, okay, well, the starter might have actually finally died. Went to turn it over by the fan and belt. Yeah, it's seized now, and I really do not understand why, unless it was like a carbon seize situation, because when we were trying to get it running, it winged over just fine, and you used to be able to turn it over by hand really easily. That's why I thought compression would be low. And we didn't drown it in gas or anything, so I'm wondering if a bit of carbon got in there and is making everything sticky now. Everybody else thinks that there's so much water in the oil pan that, you know, the crank was frozen and everything. Well, it's been warm for a while now, and it's still not turning over, and there was never any sign of water in the oil, so I don't think that was the issue. Anyway, this one is also probably going to be sold just because to get everything done I want to this summer, I need space, I need time, and I need funds. Just the paint job on the Torino is probably going to be, I don't know, with the price of sandpaper and tape and everything now, $350. So the Studebaker, the Power Wagon, and the convertible. If you're interested in any of those, hit me up. Last but not least, we have the 74 Charger. I want to hopefully put an interior in it, if nothing else, this summer. It runs, but not too great. It smokes a lot and still has a weird idle to it. I'm wondering if something in like the wiring of the car is messing with the ignition system, because both the motor that was in there and the one that we put in there both have the same weird miss. So either coincidence or I got to track something else down. Transmission was acting really weird last fall, so I don't think this is going to be driven much this summer. I was going to put the 360 and 727 that's going in the Belvedere in here, but honestly, that's a nicer car, so we'll figure out something for the Charger, don't worry. That's going to do it for the spring update, however. I got to head out to a gas station to meet a guy for a bill of sale and a transmission cross member for this car. I will begin filming all of the piddly shit I start working on in the yard here as weather allows, so videos will start to be uploaded semi-frequently here soon. But yeah, I hope everybody had a good winter, and we'll see how much we can get done this year.